Wild trade Coyle to Bruins for Donato and a fifth. Details of the deal. I know you're wondering maybe why I'm wearing an Anaheim shirt. Well, I only have basically one shirt of each team, and it's not like, so I couldn't even wear the shirt of the winner if I wanted to. So I thought I'd go 7 degrees of separation here. And the coach of the Minnesota Wild is Bruce Boudreau, who before the Minnesota coached in Washington, but before that coached for Anaheim. So not like I necessarily think Anaheim won the deal. We'll get to my opinion towards the end of the video. But first, let's look at the details here, starting with what Boston gets in Charlie Coyle. Now, he plays center and right wing. He shoots right. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, and he's 26 years old. I believe Boston will probably play him on the second line right wing and or third line center. He's a depth piece for them, obviously, and who knows if they'll make another deal. More on that later. Now, Coyle was drafted by the San Jose Sharks in the first round, 28th overall. His cap hit is $3.2 million this year and next year, which he'll then become a UFA. Now, Coyle, funny fact, is actually a masshole. For those of you not from Massachusetts, don't know that, that's someone from Massachusetts, a masshole. I am also a masshole. I went to high school there. I have lots of masshole friends. There's a big masshole community. Moving on. Now, he's played 7 seasons so far. Coyle has, all with the Wild, and his best goal season was when he scored 21 in the 2015-16 season. His top season for points was 2016-17. The year after that was 56. Now, I believe in somewhere in between here, I think in the 17-18 season, he broke his fibula, and he was never quite the same after that. And so in this season so far, in 60 games played, I believe last year he only played in 60-62 because of the injury. But he's already equaled that so far about this season, and he's got 10 goals, 18 assists, and 28 points. Oh, okay, kind of. That's kind of third line, fourth line kind of point player. Maybe more third line, I know. But on a contender, on a really good team, those could be fourth line points. He's a +1 this season. His shooting percentage is 8.8%. Now I'll get to his average in a second, which is higher than that, which shows that he might have some more promise, and he might be able to break out of this sort of funk he's been in for the past 2 seasons. Now, his total on ice time, his average in Minnesota this season was just over 17 minutes. Now, his career averages, his shooting percentage, starting with that, is 10.9. So that's 2% higher than what he's shooting this season. This is why you think, okay, change of scenery, players, maybe this will be the deciding factor in what bumps up his points, his everything. Now his average total on ice this season, or his career so far, his average. I'm having a hard time with English. Right, I'm speaking Massholian. That's the problem. So his average time on ice in his career is 16.23, so just a little bit less than what it is this season. His face-off win percentage is 46.4, and his penalty minutes, which doesn't matter because I know Boston is a half-decent face-off team, especially that first line. So if he's playing winger, which I think is what is going to happen, because I think he's better on the wing without that defensive responsibility, but he's not a bad defensive player by any means when I say that. I'll get to that in a second as well. Now, in his career, in 7 seasons, he's had 186 penalty minutes. And to add to that, now some of the analysts have said, oh, well, Boston can throw him on the second power play unit and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, really? Because in his career, he's only had 11 power play goals and 17 power play assists. Maybe that's because he just hasn't played the power play much in Minnesota, or maybe it's just because he sucks on special teams. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I haven't watched Minnesota enough as I'd like to be able to discern that. So, any Wild fans, I'd love to hear your comments and your insights on this player here. Now, his career is a plus minus 32. Is a plus 32. And remember, that's what they do for the plus minus is they add it all together. They don't take the average per se. So his average is a 32. It's added together over 7 seasons. But he's only, in saying that, he's only been a minus player in 1 season, which was in the 13-14 season, which I think was his first season. And yeah, and he's always been a plus player since, even if it's just a plus 1, which happened, I think, twice. He, in his career, in 7 seasons, he's blocked 329 shots. So that seems to be defensively aware / responsible, not afraid to take one for the team kind of deal. And hits, he's had 663 over 3 seasons. That's about, I'm going to say an average of about 60 a season, give or take, because the first couple seasons he didn't hit that much, but in the last 4, he really has. So that could, that average might even be higher in the last 4 seasons, which kind of plays into the whole, Bruins hockey mentality kind of thing. Now, more recently, he's had no points in his last 7 games with Minnesota, but mind you, Minnesota has lost 9 of 10, and they're now 1 point out of a wild card spot. Chicago's leapfrogged them as of today, which is I'm shooting this on Wednesday night, and so he's had, today's what, the 20th, something like that. Now, and Minnesota in general at this point in time has had no goals in 156 minutes of hockey, so they're hurting. So they had to do something. They had to mix it up. And in saying that, let's move on to what Minnesota Wild is getting. Now, Ryan Donato's going the other way. Now, he's a center, but he really plays. He can play both wings as well, which is the case with most centers. Really, usually when they come to the NHL, most centers end up wingers. But he shoots left. He's 6'1", 193 pounds. He's 22 years old. He was drafted by Boston in the second round, 56 overall. He's got a cap hit of just over $900,000. So, the Wild saved some money on this deal. I want to say around a couple $1 million they'll be saving. And then he'll be a RFA after this season. Now, interesting fact, Ryan Donato is also a mass hole. But in this case, Donato was actually born in Boston, whereas Charlie Coyle was born in Weymouth, Massachusetts. So it depends on how Donato might be looking. This could be a soul-crushing change for him because he probably grew up watching the Bruins as a kid and them being his team, and he got drafted and he's by the team and he's living the dream, and now he gets traded. So it'll be really interesting to see how he reacts to this. Now he's only had very limited time play in the playoffs and in the NHL in general. Which Boston fans will tell you. In 2017 and 18, he came in the last 12 games of the season, and he had 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points. Not bad for 12 games. He was a +2. He had a shooting percentage of 20.8. That had to come down at some point. And his average total ice time was just under 15 minutes per game. Now, in the 2018-19 season, I believe he started it with the Bruins, and in 34 games before he was sent down to the AHL. And in 34 games, he had 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. The same amount of points he had last season in almost a third of the game. So his pace has really dropped up here. He's a -11. He was -11 in those 34 games, and he only had a shooting percentage of 8%. So his shooting percentage probably lies somewhere in between, probably closer to 10, like it does for everyone else. But his average time on ice. His average ice time was only 12:30 in those 34 games. A kid like this needs to play a lot. And So I mean, I'm not even sure how he made the team at the beginning. I guess he finished off so well for Boston last season. They stuck him around for a while to see what he could do, but he definitely needs more time to marinate in the AHL. Now, in the last 3 seasons, meaning last 3 seasons, in 2015-16, 2016-17, 2017-18, he's been playing for in the ECAC League for Harvard University, and in 97 games played, he's had 60 goals, for 44 assists, and 104 points altogether for a plus 38. Those are pretty good numbers. But still, then you look at what he's done in the AHL so far this season, and in 18 games, he's had 7 goals, 5 assists, and for 12 points, and he's been a -1. It's okay. It's okay, but, in the AHL, you're playing with men, really, as opposed to necessarily in Harvard. So, he probably needs some more seasoning. Maybe for another year, maybe even 2. Over-ripen him before you bring him back up, so you don't, just keep on doing the yo-yo thing like Edmonton does with all their players and just destroy all their confidence. Now, Minnesota will also be getting a conditional 5th rounder out of this, but I said conditional, yeah, because it could turn into a 4th round pick if Boston wins its first round in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there. Who do I think won this trade? Who do you think won this trade? That I would really love that to know that in the comment section down below. To me, really, this is a hockey trade. This could go really in either direction. Who knows? I mean, Coyle coming back home, I think that's the biggest plus here. Going back to the state he grew up in, probably for the team he was cheering for. And, playing with different players, maybe a little bit different chemistry, could really spike him back into a groove to where he was just before he got injured. So there's potential here. And he's not that old. Yeah, he'll be 27 in another month. And then Minnesota gets... I mean, Ryan Donato is not done by any means. I mean, he's still only 22. Look at, I know I mentioned him a lot, but Andreas Johansson for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who they picked him out of the 7th round and didn't start playing in the NHL until late last season / this season, and he was like 24 years old. So, but they kept him in the Swedish league for a while, and then kept him in the AHL for about 2-3 seasons, I want to say, and then he was the MVP. In their when they won the Calder Cup last season for the Toronto Marlies, Toronto Maple Leafs AHL affiliate club. But what I'm digressing. What I'm getting at is that do not write this kid off, because he does have some talent, and this could be a diamond in the rough. It just needs a little bit of polishing, and of course, having that conditional pick to go with, obviously off-suiting. Boston Bruins is getting, in the end, experienced NHL player, albeit a declining one, but he's still in his prime, so who knows where this deal is going to go. We'll see what happens, not just for the rest of the season, but also in the playoffs. That is, if Minnesota even makes it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about this trade. Who do you think won? Who do you think lost? If you like this video, hit that like button. If you really liked it, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you happen to have any Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.